Have you ever finished a book and felt, well, like a slightly different person? Today, we're going to dig into why that happens. We're exploring the profound and sometimes surprising ways novels actually change our brains and our lives.
So here's the plan. We're going to kick things off with a legendary story, then dive into the science of empathy. After that, we'll see how fiction applies to the real world, tackle a big modern challenge, and wrap up with why novels are still so essential.
All right, let's jump right in. And what better way to start than with one of the most influential stories ever told?
I mean, think about it. It's been 4 whole centuries since Miguel de Cervantes died, and his masterpiece is still shaping our world. We use phrases like tilting at windmills all the time, and it all comes from this one book.
And we're not just talking about a small influence. This is global. Get this, it's the second most translated book in the world, right behind the Bible. That's huge. But, its real impact wasn't just how many people read it. It was how it totally changed the game for storytelling itself. Cervantes basically handed us the blueprint for the modern novel. He was the one who showed us that a whole story could be powered by what's going on inside a character's head. Their fantasies, their delusions, their dreams. Don Quixote literally read himself into a new reality, which was the first powerful example of how stories don't just reflect our lives, they actively shape them. So, this whole idea that stories can literally shape us, it's not just some fancy literary concept, it's a real fundamental psychological process. Which brings up a big question, right? How does getting lost in a story about someone like Don Quixote actually change what's going on inside our own heads? Well, it turns out reading fiction is like taking your brain to the gym. Specifically, it exercises both of those empathetic muscles. It's not just about feeling for a character, it forces you to think like them. It's a full-on workout for your social brain. And we've got the research to back this up. It's pretty incredible, actually. One study found that people who read stories saw a really significant boost in both cognitive and emotional empathy. But for folks reading non-narrative stuff, like a news article, the effect was way smaller. It's a night and day difference. So what's going on here? Psychologists have a cool name for it: narrative transportation. It's that feeling when you get so lost in a book, you forget where you are. When that happens, your brain isn't just sitting back and watching. No, it's actively simulating the world of the characters. It's like running a full-blown virtual reality simulation for your social skills.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. It looks like practice makes perfect. The same study found that people who read all the time, the habitual readers, got double the empathy boost compared to people who only read now and then. This suggests that reading fiction isn't just a one-time thing. It's more like a consistent training program for building empathy.
So, this empathy boost we get from reading, it's not just a personal thing. It has huge, massive implications for how we navigate our super complex, interconnected world. This skill actually scales up way beyond just you and me. But here's the paradox. Despite all this evidence, there's a growing trend to push novels out of schools. The whole idea is that we should focus on more practical stuff, right? STEM fields, data analysis, the things that seem to directly prepare students for the job market. But you have to wonder, is this so-called pragmatic shift actually shooting ourselves in the foot? I mean, could there be a huge, hidden cost to pushing fiction to the side? Well, a lot of experts think so. They argue that fiction is one of the best ways, maybe the best way, to develop something called cultural intelligence. And that's just a fancy term for being able to understand different worldviews and navigate unfamiliar cultures. Think about how crucial that is for, well, everything from international business to diplomacy. And really, this gets right to the heart of the matter. Informational texts, they give you facts, they give you certainty. A novel does something completely different. It trains you to be comfortable with ambiguity, to see the world from multiple, often conflicting points of view. And in the messy, complicated world we live in today, that skill is absolutely invaluable.
Okay, so if novels are this powerful, if they build empathy and help us understand the world better, then why does it feel like we're always hearing that the novel is dead? What's going on?
Well, there's a really compelling argument that the internet has basically taken over a lot of the novel's old jobs. Think about it. 100 years ago, if you wanted to know about life in another country or get the latest gossip and drama, you read a book. Today, you've got vlogs, Instagram, memes, you just scroll. So the core of this argument is pretty simple. The things we used to go to novels for, we now get them online. The demand is still there, but the delivery system for culture has totally changed. But, and this is a big but, that whole view assumes that a novel's only job is to deliver information. And this is where the story gets really interesting. What if that was never the novel's most important job in the first place? Right. Novelist Deborah Levy puts it perfectly. She argues that we're completely missing the true, irreplaceable function of the novel. The whole death of the novel idea, it's based on a total misunderstanding of what a novel actually does for us. See, a novel isn't just about what happened. It's about what it feels like to be human. It's a unique space where we can grapple with tough ideas, with messy emotions, and with the biggest, most unanswerable questions of all, like, how should I live my life?
And this really nails the difference. The internet is incredible at giving us data, right? Stuff we can scroll through, speed read, and consume. A novel offers something completely different. It's a slow, immersive journey towards deep understanding, something you have to actively experience. They're not just different. You could argue they're almost opposite ways of engaging with the world.
At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Novels tackle the very essence of being human, all the messy, complicated stuff that you can't just explain away. They give a voice to the parts of our lives that data can't capture and a headline can't possibly summarize. And maybe, in a world that feels like it's drowning in information, that unique ability to explore the impossible is precisely why we'll always need them.